Okay, so today we're going to do a lesson that is going to wrap up our ideas on the feudal system in the Middle Ages. Our goal today is to think back on everything that we have learned over the past few days and have some thoughtful discussions and turn those discussions into writing. So to start, I'm going to have you guys start with a brainstorm. And the handout you have in front of you asks you to write down important terms, ideas, or people that we have covered in this unit and write down as many as you can. Think about concepts, think about people, think about vocabulary words, and write down as many as you can. After you've written down all of those words, I want you to circle the one word or idea that you think is the most important. Now I'd like you to share those words with me. And as you share, I'm going to write down the words that I hear. After you have all shared, we'll take a look at this list of words. So as you shared, I heard a lot of the following words. Some words that stood out to me were peasants. I heard about the Magna Carta. I heard about the 100 Years' War. I heard about the bubonic plague. And I heard about democracy. These are all really great ideas that I think are going to be very useful in our discussions that we are going to have. So to prepare for our discussions, you have a handout that asks you to do a couple things. So let's read those instructions together. The instructions say, review chapters 2, 3, and 4 in your book and find the 3 most important ideas from these chapters and mark them with sticky notes. You can mark sentences, you can mark paragraphs, you can mark whole sections, or even pictures. After, you're going to discuss your ideas with your partner. You should tell your partner what you marked and why you marked it, and you should mark that idea, mark at least one of the ideas borrowed from your partner in your book. So let me show you how this is going to work. First, I want to emphasize that the reason we're doing this is that these sticky notes and these ideas are going to be the basis of some discussions that we're going to have later today. And our challenge, our goal, is to have 5-minute long discussions with our partners that are academic and continuous and uninterrupted. And I know that's really challenging to talk for 5 whole minutes with a partner, so that's why we're going to spend a lot of time preparing. And after you've had those discussions, you're actually going to write a paragraph about one of those big important ideas. So it's really important that we use this preparation time carefully and thoughtfully so that we have a lot of ideas for our discussions. So let me show you how this discussion preparation will work. First, I want to start by picking a word that I think is important. And I think, hearing from you, the idea of democracy is really important. So I'm going to take my sticky note and I'm going to mark the section in the book that talks about democracy in the Middle Ages. And that way I know that that's something that I want to talk about later and I feel prepared to talk about later. So now that you have all marked 3 ideas in your book with your sticky notes, what I want you to do is share your 3 ideas with partners. Now, partners, as your partner is speaking, you should really be listening to what they're saying and considering which of their ideas you're going to borrow. You can definitely borrow more than one, but it's important that you think about if any of their ideas are new, ideas that you haven't thought about yet, ideas that you want to make sure you talk about later. You're going to borrow them and you're going to mark it with a sticky note. So go ahead and have those discussions now. And after you've had those discussions, go ahead and fill in the reflection. And the reflection asks you about the ideas you chose to mark with sticky notes, and it also asks you about the ideas you borrowed from your partner. So now that we have done some marking, some talking, and some writing, I think we are ready for the discussion. And what I want to do is talk you through the instructions and give you some tips, and then we'll get started in these partner discussions. So you are going to work with a partner to discuss and write about a big idea in the Middle Ages. And to do this, you will pick a discussion question to focus on. You will discuss with your partner for 5 whole minutes, and you can use your textbook or sticky notes and sentence starters to help. As you're talking, you might want to mark more ideas with sticky notes or jot down ideas. And you're going to do those same steps for a second question. So you'll have 2 5-minute discussions today. What I want to do is read for you the questions so that when you get together with your partner, you have a sense of what the options are to talk about. There are 6 questions. The first one says, what was life like in the Middle Ages? How is it different? What was life like in the late Middle Ages? How is it different from the early Middle Ages? Why did these changes occur? And which period would you prefer to live in and why? Question 2. Describe what the feudal system was and why the feudal system was developed. How was it different from earlier forms of government? Do you believe it was helpful and effective? Why do you feel this way? Question 3. What were some hardships in the Middle Ages? What were some privileges and pleasures? In this time period, do you think people had more hardships or more pleasures? And why do you think this? Question 4. How did the church impact daily life in the medieval period? What were some positive influences of the church, and what were some negative influences or impacts of the church? Do you think the church was helpful or harmful overall, and why do you think this? And question number 5 is how was life different for the different classes of people throughout the Middle Ages? Did the living conditions for any group of people change over time? Why did these changes occur? And finally, question 6, what was life like in medieval towns? How did it compare to living in a manor in the early Middle Ages? What were some advantages and disadvantages of living in each? Which would you prefer to live in and why? So I want to hear what you notice about those questions. And what I'm hearing you say is that they are multi-part questions. So they ask you to think about a lot of different things, and a lot of them tie to different parts of this unit. I also heard some of you say that you noticed that each of the questions had a list of sentence starters that you could use to help you in your answers. So I want you to think about those tools as you have these discussions. So I'm going to give you a few minutes now to discuss with your partners. And your partners have been selected in a way that's going to help you and encourage you to continue talking and to support you in these discussions. So you're going to have a few minutes to prepare, and then you'll have 5 minutes for each discussion. Now that we've had these discussions, I would like you to complete your paragraph. And what your paragraph is going to ask you to do is write about one of these questions. And just like you had your conversation, you're going to write those same ideas down in paragraph form. What would be a helpful tool, a helpful resource for you to use to get these paragraphs done? I heard you say that the sentence starters would be a helpful tool for you to use. That not only can you use them when you're talking, but they're also very helpful to use in writing as well. So now that we've written our paragraphs, the last step is to complete the reflection. And this reflection is a chance for us to think back on this activity today and all of the activities we've done in this unit. And I want you to think about how well you understand this unit and this period. I want you to think about what ideas you connected with, and I want you to think about what things you still have questions with. I will be collecting these surveys when you're done. Okay, thank you.